I'm gonna call it the MILF watch. Actually, no, that's about my own mother. That's weird. I shouldn't say that, actually. You know what a MILF is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have to get a photo of her to put over this.
Just to clarify, I don't want to my mum either.
Oh no, I didn't expect it to detour in this way. Sorry, guys.
She's gonna kill me for this video.
Right, guys, welcome back to another episode. This week it's been absolutely cooking here in the office. We've got Scarlett Baker here who's going to talk to us about movement design, movement finishing,
do that to me.
jewels and caliber numbers. No, Scarlett, lovely to have you here. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm very well. I'm very excited to be here. Not going to be talking about movements today, unfortunately, so tune out now if that's what
you look almost scholarly, I would say, though. In the combination you've gone for today,
Thank
you
you.
almost
I'm really
have
glad you didn't say like St. Trillions.
you almost like you could be presenting a lecture for us today on caliber frequency. But that's a side note. That's a conversation for another time.
Okay.
Scarlett and I sat next to each other, and this is the honest truth. We were on a flight together from London to Geneva. Geneva. Probably only 6 months ago, 8 months ago. Probably only 6 or 8 months ago. No,
it was. I think it was literally in January.
January.
No? Yeah.
Bloody hell. We've only met each other this year. But she pulled up and it was one of those moments, the seat in the middle was empty.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure, she wasn't sure if we were going to have a conversation or not. The conversation started. It didn't end till the end of the flight.
No.
All 1 hour of the flight.
I did say to you, I was like, don't feel like you need to talk to me.
You did say that in fairness. Because it was early.
It was.
And that compounds that awkwardness in the morning. It's a bit like, if the flight's even earlier.
Yeah.
But then again, if it's really early, you almost feel that you're not going to speak at all.
I know.
That's just a guarantee.
But then I was so into what you were saying, I was like, I'm probably really annoying him now. But I'm so into this conversation, I don't want to stop.
Because we sort of knew each other, but we didn't really know each other. You've been in the industry for how long now? The watch world?
Coming up to my third year.
Third year.
Yeah.
And Scarlett is an editor. She's a wonderful editor.
Thank you.
And I think it's fair to say you're on the rise. You're at boiling point in the industry at the moment. You're doing bits for everybody. You're writing for the coolest publications. Who are you writing for?
So I work for a magazine called Wonderland and Man About Town, which are two UK-based fashion, culture, music publications that have just, over the past year, been pushing really hard to kind of create a watch space in a really fun way. And then alongside that, I do bits for GQ and HEIST Variety.
And HEIST out as well, no?
Yes.
Can I talk about that?
You can.
Yeah.
You can.
Because I think people watching will be familiar with this underground auction that Sotheby's did recently. Where even for me, honestly, every day I'm looking at watch stuff, but I didn't really understand what was going on.
Yeah.
All I saw was the cards popping out. I saw some dude with a hammer underground selling watches that were predominantly jewelry watches, the hot stuff right now.
Yeah.
So who are these guys? Who are these guys?
So HEIST Out is a Swiss-based publication run by two guys called Lorenzo Maillard and Maxime Couturier, said with the best French pronunciation ever. And basically they've created this really fun, provocative publication. And it's not just a publication, it's a community as well, that's kind of reimagining how you see watches and the stories behind them. So I don't know when this is coming out. When's this coming out?
Fairly soon.
Okay.
So what's it, April now?
Will it come out before May the 10th?
April, May. Probably about then.
Okay.
So somewhere around.
Well, maybe right now that magazine has come out.
And that's their first edition.
Second edition. Yeah, second edition. So they did one last year and then the one coming out in May. And it's just a really nuanced, fresh way of looking at the industry and pulling in different voices and sort of aligning different disciplines into the watch world. So really taking references from like fashion and hip hop and music and things like that, and just kind of doing a deep dive in a way that, I'm sounding like a broken record here, but it just feels different. So they're doing amazing work, and the auction that they had in Geneva, am I rambling? Shut me up.
Not at all.
Go on.
You know what? Because Scarlett, your background's in the fashion world, right? I was wondering, and I've never asked you, but what was your impression of the watch world when you came into it? Because you came in with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
Relatively, recently, and so what did you make of it all? Did you, quite honestly, what did you make of it? Did you think?
I was terrified.
Yeah,
I was terrified.
Why?
Because people were talking. They were basically talking French because they were being like, "This tourbillon, da 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 da, and a perpetual calendar, da 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 da," and I'm like, "Perpetual what now? Like, what does this mean?" And obviously, you're walking into a room of such amazing people. Everybody has imposter syndrome, but like that quite literally was imposter syndrome. Joining the industry, absolutely I'm not allowed to swear on this, am
You
I?
can swear.
Fuck all.
Yeah, there she is.
About watches.
Yeah.
And wanting to sort of prove to people that I was allowed to be in the room with them as well. But I always remember my first ever watch event that I went to, and I turned up with bright pink hair and huge long acrylic nails, and I think I was wearing my granddad's Omega on my wrist. So I was like, Dad, I need a watch to go to this event. Because I do remember actually I went to a lunch, I didn't have a watch on, and everyone was sort of a bit like, oh.
But that's the ultimate flex, isn't it? Arriving without one on.
Well, I didn't realise that at the time. I was like, I look like an idiot.
Quietly crushed it.
Yeah.
But you didn't feel comfortable doing it.
No. But in hindsight, I'm like, sick move. But yeah, I remember that first event and people sort of looked at me like, who is this strange creature coming to the room?
And who was open to you? Like, who was warm and welcoming from a brand perspective, or people? Was there anyone that immediately sort of could see, hey, this is someone who, you know, you could be really, you could add real value to the industry, actually?
I'm going to have to give a lot of my praise to James Massey.
Yeah, James, great man.
James from the get-go was like, well, he was the one that actually put me in that room for the first event. Don't know what he saw at that point, because I was just like, oh, I've just come from writing about, you know.
Did he know you previously? Because he does know. So James Massey, for anyone who's watching outside of the UK, James runs the Massey partnership, Massey Style PR, Massey Style now.
Yeah.
And they look after, out of the UK, a lot of the Richemont brands.
Yeah.
So Panerai,
Piaget,
Vacheron.
Yeah.
So he's really got the Richemont group sewn up.
Yeah.
And he couldn't be a nicer guy. He's almost one of those guys that's so nice.
Yeah.
You're sort of wondering, and he makes you feel special when you're speaking to him, one of those kind of guys. And you sort of wonder, hey, am I special, or is this everybody? I think it is that he does it for everybody, but it makes you feel really special. And I know that we have fun together. You know, I know your messages with him will be the same as mine, which are
Do you
just
have
pure
4
fun.
kisses on the end of your messages?
I get a naughty pic on a Sunday night, but don't tell his wife. An unsolicited pic. No, forget that. So what you see? You were scared coming into this. You were scared, but that was more initial.
Wasn't necessarily the industry making me feel scared.
So actually, that was more of a sort of internal thing. It wasn't there wasn't anyone or anything that made you feel that way.
No, it was never a case of people never making me feel welcome. And one thing I will say about this world is that every day it's such a privilege and an honour to be a part of it, and I have first and foremost made the most amazing friends. But I was talking with a couple of watch dealers last night actually, and it feels like we are one of the most well-connected communities. Like everyone is always open to a conversation. You know, we could sit and talk about your watch for 2 hours. Like,
do you not find that it's interesting that the watch is sort of the reason maybe you connect initially?
Yeah.
And that's at the centre, but actually all the other stuff around life is the stuff that keeps you coming back for more.
All the moving parts.
It's all the moving parts. The dial is
Life's
what you love. The dial is what you love. The movement is the bit that. But I would say, as anyone who doesn't follow Scarlett, you've got to follow her on Insta, because you are away more than anybody I know, and you're super connected with a lot of the guys in Paris and Italy. Just this week you were at Omega in
Milano. Yeah, with Omega. That was fun.
It's a pretty wild life to be able to lead, right? I mean, the way that the sort of calendar works for the watch world is incredible.
It is. I mean, again, going back to what I was just saying, like, I'm beyond grateful that I get to travel and see the world and make all these memories and see watches in these beautiful contexts. I don't know what more I have to add to that point, actually.
Final question before we get into your watches, because you've brought 2 with you, Scarlett. Final question is do you think that there are more and more women coming into watches, or do you think that the world of watches needs more women, or what is the reality here? Because it's hard for a guy who looks like me, sounds like me, to comment on these things.
So hard being you, isn't it?
Do you know what I mean, though? I'd love to know from you. Do you think that is there an issue out there? Like, are there not enough women in the industry, both in the media side and the brand side? Should we be worried about this, or?
I mean, I think obviously, I want to say in every industry you need more diversity, of course, and we can only speak to our own industry here. In the 3 years that I've joined, I've seen a lot more women. I don't know whether that's just because I'm made more connections over those years and, you know, broadened my eyes to...
she's in the foliage.
Broadened my eyes to more people and conversations, but I know at the moment in the industry we're sort of shifting the narrative now to saying genderless and removing the labels, particularly with, you know,
Product.
the audience of a watch. I agree with that and I support that, but I also feel like there should still be effort put into creating this category for women's watches. I don't even like the term ladies' watches.
No.
I don't know why.
Do you know what? I felt quite jarred actually going into Hermes.
Did you?
I felt slighted going in. I love Hermes as a brand. I think I've got a huge admiration looking in on them, and they were really nice because they gave us a towel at Watches and Wonders, which I loved. I was totally bought, by the way. But then the watch they launched was incredible. Yeah. But I walked in and the first thing they said in that presentation was, "We've just launched a woman's watch." When I looked at that watch immediately, and this is probably what women have felt for a long, long time, going to presentations and being presented with watches in stores around the world.
Yeah.
But immediately it was like, oh, so it's not for me.
Yeah.
But I immediately loved it, and actually I came away thinking it was probably one of my favourite watches of the show.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You're not the first person to say that to me. I mean, if anything, I loved it how they presented that to me.
That was the cut, by the way, by Hermes this year.
The Hermes
totally
cut.
fresh from the HO8, not to me in any way like the HO8, but
cutting through the noise of men's
cutting
watches.
through the noise. We'll have to get a photo of that one up, though, because it is so cool. The squidgy strap, the shape of the case. If that comes out 38, 39, for me, I'm in.
But I had so many of my male journalists, my friends that are male journalists, messaging me being like, I'm thinking about the Hermes cut and I think I really like it. And for me, that felt really nice that there's a shared experience there, even though, yes, they did say there's a focus on ladies' watches. I agree with this idea that, you know, the audience doesn't matter ultimately. But I think the point I'm trying to make here is that I don't want people to lose sight of putting more emphasis and thought into what a woman's watch can and should be. I don't know if I'm explaining that well, because men's collections will still continue to go on.
Is there an obvious element that needs to be different for a woman that needs to be different for a man, to you, product-wise? And I'm well aware I said one more question before, which is...
I forgive you.
Is there a key difference there?
No, because I'm like, autonomy is autonomy. Like, wear what you want to fucking wear. And would you wear a diamond watch?
I looked at Rexep's
Your
latest...
eyebrow was like...
I looked at that recent Rexep watch with the black enamel dial where the batons markers were in diamond cut baton, was it? And I thought, maybe.
But that's great, the fact that you've even said maybe.
Maybe.
I think,
HEIST out, that auction for me, looking in on that, was the perfect example of where we're at right now, which is a lot of those watches would have been classified as feminine watches because they had diamonds, they were smaller, they were precious metals. But that's where we're at, which is great. And as you say, you should wear what you want.
Exactly. And I think to go back to your point earlier about talking about, is there an absence of, you know, more women in the industry? I think the way of sort of combating these things, perhaps that's not the right word, or maybe trying to interrogate them a bit further, is by the type of product you create. So for instance, this year we're seeing a huge renaissance of jewellery inspired watches and the watches as an accessory. You look at Archive Piaget, Bulgari, you know, that brings in more people, like those kind of watches. It brings in people like me, for instance, coming from the fashion industry, that whole crowd of people, whether, you know, you identify as man or woman. I think it's less about, what am I trying to say here? You're going to have to edit the hell out of this bit. Am I making sense?
Yeah, definitely.
But like, it's more about sustaining the movement of it, and I don't mean the movement of the watch.
I like the point that it's welcoming more and more people to watches.
Yeah.
And that's the key thing. And I think women have to be coming into the industry. If we're talking about media or buyers, just have to be welcomed as men always have been. So.
And I think it's also not about just, you know, trying to bring in more women. It's also about bringing in people from different worlds, and by that I mean different disciplines. So bringing people in from the music industry into this world, bringing people in from film. You know, yes, like we see a lot of celebrity actors on like red carpets wearing watches, but like, how do you actually make that actor care about a watch? With
the photo, the famous, the rolled up sleeve, just popping. I love the CEO photos as well.
I know.
Right, Scott. Well, let's get on to your two watches. So,
sorry, I could talk
no. Thank you. That was a great tee up. What have you brought with you?
So, first watch, I have a little Cartier Roadster, which was my mother's watch, and I have to give full disclaimer here. I haven't bought my first big girl watch yet.
But you've acquired these.
I've acquired some lovely watches, but this was my mum's.
Did she wear that growing up?
No,
Did you always see her wearing it?
Honestly, I don't. I always remember my dad wearing a watch, and I remember. So these came out in the early 2000s, and I want to say this one. I took it to Cartier last week, and they said it hadn't been serviced since 2014. So, I think she had it. I want to say she got it in like 2007. Mum, if you're watching this and I butchered the dates, I'm really sorry.
Does she know that you even got it?
She does, because
you've nicked it, and she's just finding out now that you've got it.
She wanted to give it to me for my 30th birthday, and I turned 27 last month, and she sort of sat me down and was like, right, look. It was as if I was like holding her against the wall, being like, give it to me now. But she was like, right, look,
it's officially
Scarlett,
yours.
I was going to give it to you for your 30th, but I know you really want it, so you can have it now. And I was just like, oh my God, thank you. So yes, got this recently, but there is a little story behind this one. So always remember Mum wearing it whilst like I was in high school, and thinking like, oh, it's such a cool watch. And I remember actually a couple of the other mums got the watch as well. So I guess it was kind of like, I'm gonna call it the MILF watch. Actually, no, that's about my own mother. That's weird. I shouldn't say that, actually.
I've not heard that one used, but I'll take it.
The Wags watch. Okay. Maybe the Wags watch. You know what a MILF is, right?
Yeah. We'll have to get a photo of her to put over this, to overlay, just so that...
She's going to kill me for this video.
So we can be clear.
Just to clarify, I don't want to fuck my mum either.
Oh, no. No, I didn't expect it to detour in this way. Sorry, guys. Christ almighty. She did ask if we were going to be able to edit this today or not.
Oh, God, I'm so sorry. I can restart that if you want to go again.
That's a perfect story then.
Okay. Oh, I'm going to be crying in the next bit now. So, essentially, over the past year, when I was at home one weekend, Mum kind of pulled me aside.
You're never going to be able to speak about her or look at her the same way now, ever again.
I don't know why I called it a MILF watch. I've never done that before. Oh God. Right. Come on. She pulled me aside and was like, Scarlett, I need to talk to you about something. She was like, you can't tell your dad, but I can't find the Cartier watch. And I was like, oh, so funny, so funny. She was like, no, I'm being serious. I don't know where the fuck it is. So for the best part of a year, and like a full-on year, because you know when you lose something and you kind of don't really look, because you know when you start looking and you can't find it, that's when the panic really kicks in.
Delaying the panic.
Yes. She couldn't find it, and I was sort of ringing her half jokingly, being like, that's my heirloom, better find it. I think my sister was oblivious to the whole thing, because my sister, not into watches at all, which works out well for me. Eventually, we found it in a bag with a Baume & Mercier watch just chucked in there as well. I'm like, woman, like, care for these watches. But yeah, found it, and then she gave it to me, and then we've come to the decision now that we're going to get it engraved, and on the back it's going to say, all is not lost. Which sounds really like sentimental and philosophical, but the actual story behind it is my idiot mother lost it.
I love it. And we were discussing actually on that flight where you were going to have the engraving. Have you decided where you're going to put it yet?
No, because I'll show you the back. Still not easy
because there's a lot going on the back.
Like,
it's hard to know where to put it because there's
not much space to work with.
We're thinking around the top now.
Yeah, like maybe here, like all is not lost, like split in two.
Around the crown.
But I love it, and also
where did she buy that? You know, was that part of a process for her and your dad? Did they decide that was a watch that she really liked, that she wanted, or how did it come about?
Now, there's either two versions of this story, and I can't remember which one it is. So I am from Staffordshire in the Midlands. So biggest city for us is Birmingham, which has the Jewellery Quarter, which is amazing. I don't know if you've ever been.
I have, yeah.
But they either got it from like the Cartier boutique there. I don't know. Like, and also maybe it was easier in like 2007 to walk in and buy a watch. Or my mum and dad would go on holiday a lot with my dad's work. And I remember one time they came back. I think she may have got it there, but one time she came back, and this is kind of indicative of my mindset of the watch industry when I was younger, or just watches in general. Mum came back from this trip. I think they went to like Cannes or something. So low-key. With a beautiful Prada clutch bag that had a Chevrolet on the front. Really cool. I was so excited because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be able to have this at some point. Like, so fun. My mum's like, you're never touching it. And then Dad comes back with a really nice watch. And I'm like, cool, Dad. Don't care. Not interested. Prada bag. And it's funny how it's just
switched.
reversed. Yeah. I mean, I still want the Prada bag, but...
The interesting thing is the Roadster is probably not the watch that most people think of when they think of Cartier. Cartier's been flying the last few years.
Exactly.
And that is not the model that most people think of, which is even cooler.
I know, and I kind of like the fact that when people see it, no one's ever like overwhelmed by it, which I kind of like. Like it's subtle, it's understated, and it's weird because it's kind of tonneau shaped, but kind of not.
Is it a sports watch or a dress watch, do you reckon? I mean,
well, it's technically sports watch because, well, it's a weird hybrid, and I was actually reading about it. So when it came out in the 2000s, people were actually feeling a bit disgruntled because, I mean, primarily it takes reference from like the 1950s and like the heydays of, you know, gorgeous sports cars. But it's a really luxury take on a sports watch. I mean, the good thing about it to me, it's an everyday watch. I can wear it to a dinner. I can wear it to walk to the co-op. Like, it doesn't matter.
This is going to be a question I never thought I would answer, and I'm probably not the best to ask this, but I think I asked Ming. I might have asked Ming this. Our colleague, our friend Ming Lu, about metals.
Writer.
Wonderful writer,
Yeah.
wonderful woman, wonderful writer.
Yeah.
But it being steel, does that shape what else you wear? Because you've got gold and other things going on.
Don't
Because you
care.
love your jewellery, right? No,
It doesn't bother
it's
me.
all about just
Yeah.
maximalist. Oh, sorry guys, we've got
hi.
Benji's come and joined us. Hello, my boy. Doesn't bother you at all. It's full on. It's about maximisation.
Yeah. My boss recently taught me a really nice quote, which kind of speaks to my life, which is that life is too short for minimalism. And I'm like, every one of these rings deserves to have a day out. So it's not fair to leave them at home. It's the same with my watch. Like, I mean, I'm stacking it with literally like a €2 bracelet, a pearly hair bubble, and a bracelet that says Leclerc. So it's probably not how Cartier wanted it to be worn.
I think it's exactly how they would want things now to be worn.
It's how I'm wearing it.
I love it. I love it. All right, Scarlett, brilliant. So that's your first one.
Yes.
And what's your second one you've bought with you?
So I basically brought my parents with me today. So second watch, and also I just want to talk about this really cute case because I feel like if anybody in the watch industry actually saw how I store my watches, actually I'm not going to talk about that too much. Don't want to get robbed of all my swatches. I basically just
plonk them all in.
I'm a bit bad. So when Dylan Batt, shout out to Dylan, gave me this really nice watch case from a brand called Crook, I felt like I'd made a step in the watch industry. I felt a bit more verified.
And isn't a nice case a nice thing?
is.
It isn't a nice case a nice thing, just as a watch lover.
Yeah.
To be able to feel that pop and just
Yeah, 'cause
that little emotion every time you crack it open.
I'm like, you spend, well, so much money on a beautiful watch. You don't want the case to be an afterthought. Like, you don't want to shove it in something a bit gross.
I love it. Oh, so Benji is just one of my oldest, most loyal friends, and he's featured a couple times in years gone by in things.
He's very calm.
Very calm, wonderful man, wonderful loyal man. Anyway,
sorry, I'm
you're not
taking
allergic,
my time here. No, he's just terrified. No, I'm not.
He is petrified. Good God, we can see from a mile off what that is.
Big beefy boy. So a real difference between the two.
Yeah.
So this is mum, this is dad. So growing up, always remembered my dad having this on his wrist, and my dad has, sorry dad, huge wrists. So it never looked like too big on him. And then when I joined the watch industry, our agreement was that I would have it on loan for 2 years. It's now my 3rd year, and he hasn't asked for it back, which I'm really excited about.
He must be loving the fact you're doing this, though, no?
Yeah, he does.
Clearly he's a watch guy, because this is a TAG Monaco. This is an earlier TAG Monaco.
Yes, this
vintage
is
TAG Monaco.
2007.
Okay, maybe not vintage, but it's, yeah. It's not new.
Neo.
It's not new. It's neo. Just.
Yeah.
But it's got that wonderful
You can't
richness
get
to
it anymore. There you
Do you know
go.
what? But it has got that wonderful richness. The subdials have sort of got a nice age to them.
Yeah.
And the loom's got a lovely age to it. So it has got that patina to it.
Scratch to high L.
But he must be loving the fact you're in it now. He must
does,
be asking for discounts, no?
I mean, it's really exciting every time I come home. You can see that, like, he's, like, put on a new watch to be like, Scarlett, do you want some toast?
Have you had any bus stops where he's like, I love this new Chopin, and you're like, oh, I hate that.
Yeah, he loves a sports watch, but like big, chunky, like in your face kind of vibe. And I'm just like, Dad, no, like you can be more subtle. He doesn't have a dress watch. I mean, he doesn't really go to any like galas or anything anymore.
But this one, did you see him wearing that growing up a lot?
Yeah. Like I look at it and I'm just like, it's my dad. And when I thought I lost it the other day, I was like, my soul left my body. I was like, my dad's going to kill me. I'm never going to be able to like look him in the eye again because this is literally my dad in an object. And I look at it and I just always think of him. And I love the fact that, I'll show you guys, on my wrist, you know, it's big. And I always kind of diffuse it with jewellery next to it. So it kind of like, you know, feels a bit more streamlined on the wrist. But I've only ever seen one other woman wearing a Monaco, and that's George Bamford's wife. I mean, hers was beautiful, customised Monaco. But you just don't really see a lot of women wearing them because they are big, they're beefy. And I like that. I like the fact that, you know, there's this huge thing on my arm.
But it's such a design piece, isn't it? I mean,
it is.
I think you're a bit like me. You're drawn immediately to the design of a watch. Before anything else, it's like, does it have a distinct theme to it? And that, to me, is one of the icons of the watch world. And icons are a word that we use as writers way too much.
Yeah.
But that is one that deserves to be.
It is, and the main takeaway for me with this one, which I didn't really realise until I started wearing it in the industry and started seeing a lot more Monacos, is that the bracelet is so different. So
you don't often see them on bracelets, because I associate them with a leather strap.
But this one is actually quite, I want to say rare, but I'm probably going to get called out by like TAG Heuer Reddit fans saying.
The Heuer, who's on the dash, you know, on the dash.com. Yeah, the Heuer expert. I can't remember his name now, but very well respected. I'm sure he'll be able to chime up and give us some insight.
Well,
is it original? It's the original one.
Yeah, it's called a mint bracelet. And it kind of gives a really nice like 60s-esque look to it. And for me, it's just kind of like the bracelet look, like, you know, next to this chain from my granddad. I think it just looks kind of nice.
And the blue is beautiful.
Yeah.
Why is it that blue dials are so popular in the watch world?
I guess it's just because it's such like a versatile colour that kind of goes with anything. It's not too bold, but also it's not too subtle. And I just think it can kind of go with anything. Like, you know, even that just poking out of my shirt just looks really nice. Wow.
There it is. Double wristing.
I know.
But you know what? The lovely thing about this is that it's more than the damn watch, right? You know, you're seeing so much more in these two.
Yeah.
Where did he, just before we move on, where did he get that?
Not a clue.
Not a clue. Did he buy it new?
Yeah.
You should ask him. Be nice to know.
Oh,
is it watch only? Does he keep boxes and stuff or paperwork, or is that probably not?
He does. I mean, my dad is like a meticulous collector. He used to work in finance and like.
Everything's meticulous.
Oh my God, I remember when
Has he got spreadsheets coming out of his eyeballs?
Yeah, but like growing up, the one thing I remember is he'd hire me to be his little assistant when the tax return time would come. Oh God. End of the tax year and freelancing or whatever. And he would have, you know, those like folder boxes that have like the weird clamp on the inside. Do you know the ones I mean?
I've got one. Is it the one that folds open like this and it clamps?
It's like a little box, and you open the lid, and then it has that like little clamp to like hold down
the paper.
paperwork
down. Yeah,
they're kind of like old school.
I've definitely got one. Yeah.
See, I've just chucked it on my lap. That was so bad. Sorry, Dad. He would have 12 of those for every month of the year, and my job would be to look at all of these things, look at the month, and then put them in the folder. Like, he's a meticulous man. So somewhere these boxes will be. He probably is just smart and knows not to give them to me because the box and papers might go walkies.
You've got to ask him where he got it. I think that would be part of the story.
Yeah,
then.
I will.
You've done, Scarlett, you did apologise, in fairness, before we started filming, that you had brought some extras, because we know this is a bit of a theme. And then you sort of got a bit pissed, because I looked at the meeting and I was like, that's you in a watch. Yeah. So actually, you have bought a few watches yourself.
Yes.
What have we got here? Because this is not one that we've come across yet on the series. But I've never seen a strap quite like it either.
This is a really rare Patek Philippe Calatrava like you've never seen before.
1518 chronograph in pink gold.
Yeah.
Auctioned at Phillips in 2006.
It's a bit dusty. I think you should rename your show the 2.5.
The 2.5.
Because this is 0.5, 0.3 actually. So also I can't not bring one to show you because they're like triplets. Taking one away from the other would just feel really cruel. So these are 3 1991 swatches by a man named Alfred...
Lord Tennyson.
No.
Not him.
Oh God, what's his surname? It's something, it's like H. Kunst. I've not said that well.
I don't know that she's actually knows what she's talking about.
I do. I wrote it down on my phone.
Kunst. Albert H. Kunst designed those.
I can't think of his name and it's literally on my phone. Can I have a look on my notes?
Let's leave it for someone to jump in on. So whoever knows, these are pop swatches.
Yeah, so basically in
Albert Lord Kunst.
So in my defence, he's an artist and the word Kunst in German means art. So he was commissioned by Swatch in 1991 to create some watches, basically to create a menu. And what he did was create these three. So you have a red pepper, a cucumber, and a bacon and egg. And it's funny that they get referred to as the vegetable watches because obviously this is meat. But I just think they're incredible. They're so funky.
Do you know what? Now you say it, I can see it. But honestly, when I first thought, I didn't see the food.
Did you think I just bought
honestly,
some, like...
I didn't see the food.
Are you only just seeing it now?
And I'm immediately thinking about Richard from Studio Underdog.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder he must have known that food had featured on dials before and straps.
But it's funny because it's got, oh my God, it says his name on here now. Hofkunst. Alfred Hofkunst. Hofkunst. Sorry if I'm butchering that. But what they actually did, which was so cool, so they created 9,999 of these watches, and they actually sold them in vegetable markets in Switzerland, Italy, and Austria.
So when you're getting a pepper, there's a little
you get an
selection
extra
of
pepper
pepper watches there.
Yeah.
I mean, that is... I didn't know that, but that swatch at its absolute best, is it not?
I know.
That's
so cool.
That's the business at its best.
And it's the pop swatch as well, so you can actually...
Pop it out.
Yeah. I won't do it now because
it won't be going back in.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
So
they're amazing. Do you ever wear them?
Yeah, I kind of am a bit conscious of doing it because of the leather. Like as soon as you wear it, it kind of gets a little line, and obviously they are vintage.
Do you know what? It's the same as me with my chronographs, the little original chronographs, the colourful ones.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking that I would like to frame those maybe.
Yeah, that
have
would
them
be fun.
just because they're such beautiful designs, but they're not that great for wearing. Because the strap on those is crispy. It's age, so literally you wear it and it cracks.
But there's a really nice story actually behind how I got these as well. So I was kind of in my own head a little bit about the fact that I hadn't bought my first watch. And, you know, coming up to my third year in the industry, I was like, you know, it's time. So I saw these come up on Instagram. And as you say, they are so me. And I was like, I love anything that's just fun, different. Didn't necessarily, you know, buy them to wear them.
Where did they come from?
Let me get there. Patience. So saw them on Instagram, and then a week later, this guy that I followed, who I didn't really know well at the time, a guy called Joël, at Jojo Lamont on Instagram, had posted them that he was selling them, and I was like, oh my God, I need to do it. So I moved some money across into my bank account from my savings, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. So bought them off him, and he was like, cool, I'll ship them over. And I was just a bit like, you know what? This is a big moment. Like, you know, I'm not buying a Rolex or a Patek, but this is still a big moment to me. I'm going to go to Geneva and go get them. So I organised it with a week where I already had some meetings in Geneva and I was going out there. And met Joël, who was also part of the HEIST outgoing as well, and was able to properly meet those guys. And he brought the watches for me, and we all had drinks together, and they took me out to this crazy restaurant in Geneva. And we had so much fun, and like we took photos of the three watches like on a huge mountain of fries. Everyone was trying them on, and it was just like just a really nice inauguration into like the real Geneva, because obviously every time we go it's fleeting, you don't really get to see it. And also just it was just a nice moment of feeling like I really am a part of this industry. So yeah, I like the story behind these watches, and also they remind me that I got them from a friend, and also friends that I've made from the industry. So yes, they are a bit of plastic fun, but they're a lot more than that.
They're a lot more than that.
This is not just a bacon and egg.
Can I have a look at the bacon and egg?
Go for it.
Not that easy to tell the time, but that's a side note. That is a side note.
Think?
Well, I always find a bare dial actually always
Yeah.
immediately. But I love the design. I love the way that it. For anyone who's not seen them before, the way the strap actually integrates through. It's effectively a pocket watch with.
Yeah.
It's a pocket watch that you can just slide a strap through the back. It's amazing. Scarlett, you did say that you haven't bought your sort of first mechanical watch yet.
Don't ask me.
I've got to ask. I've got to ask. And I know it's likely something that changes every week.
Yeah.
How close have you got to pulling the trigger yet? And what are you thinking it's going to be?
I like to describe it as my Spotify playlist. So,
Do you have a thing on your phone? Photos on your phone?
Honestly, I've got about 100. But honestly, my Spotify playlists go from like Elvis, Kanye West, all out 50s to then like Eminem, moods. This is literally me with watches. I'm like, do you put that next to a TAG Heuer Monaco? No, you don't. So some days I wake up and I'm like, Piaget Protocol. I want it, I need it. If I could, like, grail watch, because that's obviously different to first watch, and I know I'm avoiding your question.
No, don't move on just yet. Because you want to get something you can wear that you could feasibly get. What is that? So it's vintage?
Yes. I think for so long, and the watch that I was fully convinced I was about to pay for was a Cartier Santos. Apparently it's not the Galby, it's the other one. I can't remember the name of it, but it's got the burgundy dial, and it's super tiny. I tried it on in 47th Street in New York, and I was like, this is it. And then something was stopping me, and I was like, I need to listen to that.
It's not the right watch.
No, but for so long I wanted it.
Watch.
And then I keep seeing it a lot at the moment, and I'm like, okay, I'm glad I didn't do that, because
it's definitely not the right watch then. It's definitely not the right
exactly. So I think it's either going to be a Cartier or Piaget.
Okay.
Yeah, probably a Piaget.
Piaget. The tricky thing about Piaget, I guess Cartier's kind of made the
You
jump
say
already.
it differently to me.
And
Am I saying it wrong?
Piaget.
Piaget,
Is it Piaget or
Piaget.
Piaget? What is it, Britt? Piaget or Piaget?
I say it Piaget, but I don't know.
Piaget. Shit, 2 for
Outvoted.
Piaget, 1 for Piaget.
Cool.
Please let us know in the comments below. Not that we can actually hear what you're saying. It'll be Piaget. We'll never know. But the thing is, Cartier sort of made that jump already price-wise, so it's kind of hard to... But then Piaget feels like there might be a few bits knocking around.
I know, yeah.
Do you know Plus Ultra, the dealer in... guy called Plus Ultra in Geneva? I don't think he's actually in Geneva, he's in Switzerland. He specialises in vintage Piaget. And he's got the most incredible lineup of really weird stuff.
Yeah.
So you've got to check him out. Plus, I'll let you know before you go.
Thank you.
Today.
Thank you.
What is that grail though? What is that ultimate? What are you absolutely hook, line, and sinker for? That money's no object; it just comes.
Can I give you 2?
Give me 2.
Okay.
It is the 2-watch collection after all.
I know.
2-watch grail collection to come in a few years' time with Scarlett.
Yeah, I'll get that eventually. So please don't judge me for this. For anybody that knows me, they know that leopard print is my love language. Why do you already look horrified?
Go on.
The Elton John leopard print Daytona. Love that.
So for anyone who didn't know, Elton, not all of his collection, but apparently a few watches at a few homes.
Yeah.
A few of the homes were cleared out and sold through, I think it was Sotheby's, Christie's?
I think it was Sotheby's.
Sotheby's.
Yeah.
And that was one of the showstoppers.
Yeah.
Among them were a crash and some other bits and pieces. A Piaget, some wild Piaget actually in there as well.
Yeah, there's some crazy stuff. But it's so...
Leopard print Rolex Daytona.
It's...
Diamond bezel.
Yeah.
Leopard print dial.
Yeah.
Leopard print strap.
Yeah. It's tacky, it's gauche, and it's fun. Like...
Too many collectors, and I put myself in this as well, try to decompartmentalise collecting and buying.
Yeah.
Make sense of it. What I've realised over the years now is you can't make sense of it.
No.
It's an emotional thing.
Yeah.
And it's like what you found with your Cartier was like, if it were the right one, it was like, I'll do anything and everything to get this done.
Yeah.
I need it in my life.
Yeah.
You need that leopard print in your life.
I know.
And I almost feel in the next few years, you will be doing anything and everything within reason.
Yeah.
You're not starting an OnlyFans. No, sorry, Britt, we're not. No, by the way, Britt does not have an OnlyFans page. It's just people have been pestering her to start one, but that's a conversation for another time.
Have they?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Unfortunately.
I'm so sorry. What have I walked into?
You'll do almost anything.
My second one is so different to that, though.
Okay, hit us with the next one.
So the second one is the Richard Mille Bonbon watch, the one that's like the twisted marshmallow. It's just insane. And I got to go to the 90 boutique in Geneva, which is the Richard Mille pre-owned boutique. They didn't have it there, but they did have some epic watches.
Do you know what Ming again, mentioning Ming twice in one episode? She
right, I get it. You want her here.
We want to make. She couldn't make it today. Ming was going to be here today. She couldn't make it. No, but she also mentioned Richard Mille as a grail. Now, honestly, for me, it's not even in the realm of conversation. I think for a lot of people, it's not, because there is a bit of a cliche, not cliche. There's a bit of a social aspect to it as well, which is it's got a cachet to it. It's got a reputation to it. Which can be good or not, right? It's polarizing in many ways.
I agree, but also
that design, by the way, is amazing though. That stands on its own as incredible design. I was at the show when they launched. I'm sorry to keep talking. I was at the show at Watches. It was SIHH. It was called back then, and they launched those, and I thought, wow, that's the first one. I thought, wow, they've created something unique there that I've never seen before.
They're so hard to find now, though. Like whoever has them, I don't blame them. They are holding on to them. They're just beautiful. And going back to what you were saying about Richard Mille, like when I joined the watch industry, did I ever think I would love a Richard Mille watch? No, because, typically you see Formula One drivers wearing them, you see tennis players, athletes. I did also see...
All complete douchebags. Let's be clear, like a complete...
See a douchebag wearing a Swatch,
You
come
do,
on.
but complete... Because it's a statement. We all know that watches in some respects are a signifier, right? A statement of personal...
Yeah, but that's whether you choose to buy into that or not. Like
Richard Mille's the apex of that.
Yeah.
It has to be considered. Someone once wrote an article, I won't name the name, it's called The Billionaire's Handshake. I love those watches.
I'll fight you on it.
It's
anyway.
an interesting... Next episode is Scarlett and I fighting to the death in a paddle pool full of grease. Sorry. Full to the
Keep
brim
your
of
fantasy to yourself.
cooking oil and Benji and Scarlett and I with one Richard Mille bonbon in the middle, fighting to the death. So just what do you make of that?
You might gym more than I do, but I am convinced I'll win.
You'll be brutal. One. I can tell you'll be brutal.
I play vicious, kick the ankles.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Okay, bonbon.
Yeah.
What do they go for? I wonder. What do you pay for one of those? Are we talking hundreds? We must be.
Oh yeah.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands.
But they did a few of them, didn't they? Yeah. In that collection.
And I might be wrong, but it was a woman. Was it a woman in-house who designed them, or a woman outside that came in and created that whole catalogue for them? I don't know.
You've got me there.
Someone will know. But I think it might have been the creative director who'd come in, or even Richard's. A relation to Richard Mille himself, maybe a daughter or someone. There was an interesting connection as to how those were designed, but they looked edible. Yeah. That was the thing I couldn't. I know. They almost looked like some of that sort of Parisian.
Because the sapphire almost doesn't look like it's there.
No,
like, I feel
it almost been like some baker, like a Parisian baker where they gloss. Yeah. They put gloss over the top and it looks edible. I almost feel like those bonbons.
It all comes back to my surname. I meant to have this watch.
And interestingly enough, as a side note, you've got a passion for croissants. You've got a croissant tattoo.
I do.
And you've got you had a croissant this morning. I did. Which may or may not been very good, but that's a side note.
It was tasty. But I just want to add to that final point about the RM, that my ultimate dream in life is, do you remember those little marshmallows? I think they're called like flumes or something.
I don't know.
No? You haven't lived. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. The spinny ones, like the twisty ones, which is what they've mimicked on the dial. My goal in life is to sit and just chew on one of these.
With an RM.
Wearing the watch. And at that point, I think I will have reached enlightenment. And yeah, I can die happy.
On that note, Scarlett Baker, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys, as always, for joining us. One of the most fantastic episodes we've had. I'm sure there'll be lots of comments about the next episode to come, because we do need some guidance on what that's going to be. But guys, no, thank you very much. Catch you soon.
Thank you. You didn't pick up the watch.
Oh, shit. Are we still recording? Shit! Sorry, guys. I got something out today for Scarlett, because I knew she was coming. And it's this bad boy.
Mind the dog.
Then just watch out, my boy. And this, I've had it stored away. I got this in Zurich, and it's working incredibly. And it was from 1988. So they made it in 1988. No, Yeah, so it was the year before. If it says 1988, this then featured in the Swatch stores in the year later. So this was 1989, which was my year of birth. So this was the year I was born. This was in a Swatch shop somewhere in Switzerland, still working. I bought it back from Switzerland. It was ticking.
How did you bring it back?
It was in a bag. It was in an LD carry bag, and it was ticking away. And honest to God, there were people around me looking around thinking, what the hell has this guy brought on the plane? Anyway, it's going to go up, and I'm moving house in the next couple of weeks, and it's going to go up in the new recording zone for us there. So thanks for reminding me.
Thank you for showing me.
Scarlett, thank you for coming. Thanks as ever for joining us, guys. Catch you soon.